feels like I've been here all before. Radio humming, the world feels right. Every little thing's in tune tonight. Shadows fade, the truth comes through. Fresh start in the morning blue. Hey, now blue sky shining down. Left your feet, don't touch the ground. Laugh it off, let the good times stay. Oh yeah, it's a blue sky day. Oh, coffee steaming, a smile breaks free. Simple joys are enough for me. Stones roll out, but I don't mind. Sun's still waiting on the other side. Turn it up, feel the sound. Good vibrations all around. Hey, now blue sky shining down. Lift your feet, don't touch the ground. Laugh it off, let the good times stay. Oh yeah, it's a blue sky day. No heavy weight, no looking back. Just open roads and a steady track. Hands in the air, feel the sway. Let the light carry us away. Hey, now blue sky shining down. Spin around, let the music play loud. Every color's here to stay. Oh yeah, it's a blue sky day. Morning light, as the clouds roll past. Hold this feeling, make it last. Blue sky smiling anyway. Oh yeah, a blue sky day. Wake up, sunlight tapping on the door. Feels like I've been here all before. Radio humming, the world feels right. Every little thing's in tune tonight. Shadows fade, the truth comes through. Fresh start in the morning blue. Hey now, blue sky shining down. Lift your feet, don't touch the ground. Laugh it off, let the good times stay. Oh yeah, it's a blue sky day.
Woohoo! Good morning. It is Conservative Cat. I appreciate you being here this morning. Christmas just a few days away. I'm so excited. Let me know in the comment section what's your favorite Christmas song. If you don't have a favorite Christmas song, movie, favorite Christmas tradition, whatever you want to throw in the comment section. As always, love the comment section. Good morning, Cat and chat. Yes, it is a great morning, and we have a huge show for you. So, Sleigh It Ain't So. This Democrat mayor, and this is fascinating. This is 3 hours from where I live in South Carolina. So you guys know that I recently moved down here. I'm loving it. It's incredible. Nativity scenes everywhere. Actually, over the weekend, I had a ton of fun, which, in my busy life, it's really hard to just slow down, spend some time with family. I got to hold a baby kangaroo at this petting zoo, which was really cool. And we went and we did the lights and everything. And one thing that I've noticed here in South Carolina, nobody's afraid to talk about Jesus. It's wild. Like I'm right in the Bible Belt, so there's just signs everywhere, nativity scenes everywhere. And we were at this light show, and they had a huge nativity scene. Like it was like miles long. It was like one of those light shows where you drive through it. And it was this huge nativity scene, absolutely beautiful. And we get to the end, and it was kind of funny. Like they just randomly put in like a Kwanzaa. It was one like light up thing that said Kwanzaa on it, which is a fake holiday. And we'll get to that actually. I'm thinking I'm gonna have that air maybe day after Christmas. I think I'm gonna go live for Christmas. Definitely gonna be live tomorrow. So you guys will always have some content this week. But we are going to do an entire show dedicated to how Kwanzaa is a fake holiday. But like at the very end of the light show, they had like a Kwanzaa thing, and then they had a Hanukkah thing. And, these are, fake, or not the real meaning of Christmas. And, Hanukkah's different, and I can explain that in a long form video, and I plan to do that. Kwanzaa is just outright fake, but they had like all the other, festivities that people celebrate around this time of year. And it was just like a blurb. It was so funny. You drove through, and it's like this elaborate nativity scene, and it was like miles long. And then you get to the very end, and they're like, "Oh yeah, happy Kwanzaa and happy Hanukkah." So we're going to do a long form video about both those holidays this week. Also, should Christians do Santa Claus? And we're going to get to the true story of St. Nicholas. And, I think that to sum that up, tease it a little bit, we're going to do an episode on that this week. To sum it up, should Christians do Santa Claus? I think that, in your household, there's got to be a clear distinction between lies, secrets, and pretend. And, and the truth. There is a true story about St. Nicholas, and it's actually a great story. And I don't think kids really understand it. And, I feel like kids, we treat them like they can't understand like huge concepts. Let me give you an example. I was 20 something years old when I realized that Moses actually murdered someone. And, I'm like sitting there 20 years old, and I'm like, I had no idea. And like, I don't know if they concealed that during Sunday school because they thought kids couldn't handle what murder was and what murder is, and what Moses actually did. It actually enhances his story a whole lot. But I was never told that growing up in Sunday school. And I think that we just think that kids can't handle complexities or stories. And I understand age appropriate, but maybe we don't share the story of St. Nicholas with children because we don't think that they can understand it. I think that they can. And I do plan on giving you the story of St. Nicholas this week sometime. So we have a lot of content for the week. I'm going to be going live. So you won't be out of content just because, it's Christmas. And you'll have something to listen to while you're making cinnamon rolls on Christmas morning. So we're going to get to this actually South Carolina story. It's a South Carolina town, like I said, 3 hours away from where I actually live. And this Democrat mayor wanted to take down this nativity scene, which is so weird. If you were to like live where I live, it is like the Bible Belt. People talk about Jesus all the time. Something else I've noticed down south, there is no racism. Like racism does not exist here. Everybody like the wealth disparity, at least from what I can tell, is like there's no black community, white communities. We're all integrated, not segregated. And when you go up north, there's like urban areas and then there's like rural areas, and it's very divided. And then there's wealth disparity as well. That's not something you see in the South, which I am like so ecstatic about. Like, and you wouldn't think that, given that, oh, those evil red states, those Republicans are all racist. Actually, the Republican run states are far less racist because the wealth disparity is closer, at least objectively, like, or subjectively looking at it, you know, the neighbors. And you know, I mean, I'm like, there's no wealth disparity. Like, it's insane. So the South Carolina town, it's right there in the Bible Belt, and for a Democrat mayor to be like, yeah, take that down, it's like, do you know where you're at, lady? So the South Carolina town actually keeps baby Jesus up. So we're going to get to that. Nicki Minaj, she had some sensational remarks during AmFest, at AmFest this year, on Trump, on JD Vance, and about speaking up. So love that. I mean, I think that it's so strange that Nicki Minaj has said more about the persecution of Christians in Nigeria than most pastors. That was not on my bingo card for 2025. Nicki Minaj speaking up for Christians who are slaughtered in Nigeria. So Nicki Minaj, we'll get to her. Illinois is in a full-blown panic right now because the Department of Justice is demanding that they give and hand over their unredacted voter rolls. Okay, but Illinois won't do that, and it's gotten to a point where the DOJ is now suing. So they were being the nice guy, and they were saying, hey, give us your voter rolls. But it's gotten to a point where Illinois has ignored the DOJ and federal law. And I want to know, what are you hiding? Like, I don't understand. They've got this whole thing about, oh, privacy. We don't want to give your social security number to the federal government. Whoa, back up a second. Our social security number is quite literally created by the federal government. So how would you providing our social security numbers, which they already have, the feds, be like a move of no privacy, or like you're handing over our private information? Like, that's not what's happening here, and it's a lame excuse, really. So I also don't want you to miss this. A lot of Illinois stories. This was passed by all the Republicans in the House. One of those bills. I love these bills. I love them. I hate them. So Illinois Republicans, a Southern Democrat is more based than an Illinois Republican. Okay, more conservative than an Illinois Republican. And this is example number 5,258, why Illinois Republicans suck. So they all voted for this. Illinois is now creating a dyslexia screening. So they're going to be, putting your kids under a microscope, seeing if they're dyslexic. And, that might sound good on the surface, but really what they're doing is they're teaching the kids the wrong way. And they've created a problem in our education system in Illinois. And they created the problem, and now they're trying to come up with fixes for that problem. And they're spending all kinds of money doing that, when really they just need to focus on teaching reading, cursive. We've all switched to manuscript, and none of the kids are taught cursive. Actually, I think my generation is the last. I'm 26. I was taught cursive, but somebody 25. So like I have a friend who's 25, doesn't know cursive, a lick of cursive. Really weird. So we're going to be talking about how they're teaching reading the wrong way, spelling, writing the wrong way. And this is starting to look like dyslexia is on the rise. But really what it is that the kids can't read because you guys aren't teaching it correctly. So we're going to get to that. Smash that like button, share this out with your friends, subscribe to the channel. Grandma got ran over by a reindeer. Yeah, I asked you guys to put your favorite Christmas song in the chat. Mine is "Oh Come All Ye Faithful," although I do love Grandma Got Ran Over Reindeer Henry. Morning, y'all. Good morning, Lisa. Appreciate you being here, Henry. G.I. Joel. Good morning, Cat and Chat. Throw your favorite Christmas song, or if you don't have a favorite Christmas song, I love "O Come All Ye Faithful." That's probably like my favorite Christmas song. But I asked my brother to play. He's a pianist, very good on the piano. We played trumpet. He played trumpet. I played flute growing up. Very musically inclined, my twin brother. And every year I ask him to play Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You." It's just so good. And it's really good on the piano. So I do like that song a lot. "Oh Come All Ye Faithful." Now this Christmas, I don't know what it is, but every time I get in the car and turn on the radio, Noel is playing. Noel, Noel. Yeah, that song every single time. So I don't know if that's like my song this year. So this year, I'm really liking Noel. But "Oh Come All You Faithful," I'd say, is my favorite. Throw it in the comment section. Christmas tradition, movie, song. I want to know. Holiday controversy in the form of a war on Christmas has erupted in this small little city of Mullins. So where I'm at, it's like going to Myrtle Beach. I'm in the mountains, kind of Bible Belt mountain people, like, so northern upper South Carolina. So it's 3 hours away from me, this little town, Mullins, and this Democrat mayor, Miko Pickett, ordered the removal of a very modest nativity scene from a public marketplace parking lot. Okay, so, it's like the square, the town square. Okay. But lo and behold, what to our wondering eyes should appear but a defiant small town committee who said she's free to go pound sand. Okay, at least for now. So what we have here is a small little town committee, and this is so exciting to see, because you would never see this in a Republican town in Illinois. You just would never see it, where they stand up and they say, "No, go pound sand, lady. We're going to keep our nativity scene up." In fact, I would say I know of a small town in Illinois where I used to live, and I didn't confirm this, but Charlie Kirk, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, you guys remember Donald Trump, he ordered the flags to be flown at half-mast. And there was a sheriff in this town, this Illinois town, and I'm not going to say which one, because I didn't confirm for sure he said this, but there was a sheriff, and I had multiple sources, reliable sources, county board members saying that this was true, that he didn't want to lower the flag half-mast. Now, it was weird because it was lowered for half-mast for 9/11, because Charlie died 9/10. That was September 10th. And they lowered it half-mast for September 11th, but they didn't keep it lowered all the way through Sunday for Charlie Kirk. That following Sunday, which was ordered by President Donald Trump. And the sheriff gave a lame excuse, and a Republican, like deep red Republican town in Illinois, the Republican sheriff was like, "Well, we have to go by what the state says." Actually, no, this is county property. Okay, if this is, county property, you have jurisdiction, number one. Number two, it's our national flag. Okay. And the president is directing you on how to lower the flag and when to lower the flag, because it's our national flag. It's not a state flag. So why the hell would you listen to Governor J.B. Pritzker and his directives about lowering the flag for Charlie Kirk? It's just bizarre. So anyway, I bring that up because here's a small little town committee in the South, and they said, "Go pound sand, lady. We want our nativity scene." So this is like a little public square, and it's like hey, come check out the holiday display and spend a few bucks, at a local business. This is a very small town. That's their strategy here. So, small town America in the South is very different from small town America in the North. A lot, or the North, just blue states. A blue state, Democrat controlled state. It's very different living in a small town there than it is living in a small town in the South. So, among the decorations, this nativity scene, there were also snowmen, Santa Claus. It was a very festive, Hallmark like atmosphere in the public square there. There was also this 3 by 4 foot. Now, think of that. Like 3 by 4 foot is probably like my desk here. Like it's very small nativity scene. And, Pickett, this woman, Democrat Miko Pickett, reportedly texted Kimberly Bird, who is the head of the committee, that said, "Hey, go pound sand, Democrat mayor." So the mayor asked her to take it down. 'Twas, according to Fox News, because Pickett did not want to offend faiths and other beliefs in the community. So that's according to Fox News. That's why Pickett, had asked for it to be taken down. Well, freaking da, freaking da. Like, I don't care, okay, about your beliefs, your other faith traditions, because at the end of the day, it's called Christmas, okay? And Christmas, you can't have Christmas without Christ. So Bird, she told Fox News Digital that the mayor's action shocked her and seemed to stem from a fundamental misunderstanding of the true meaning of Christmas, especially as celebrated in small towns. Perhaps naively, she had also thought a moment or two of reflection on Pickett's part would yield a change of mind. So she didn't make a fuss of it right away. She kind of gave her some time, Pickett, to kind of change her mind and rethink this. Okay, we are a faith-based community, she says in the Bible Bell. I've been here 53 years of my life, and I've never heard of anything like this happening here. Christ is why we celebrate Christmas, says Bird. I really thought she would change her mind or come back and say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Let's have a meeting on this, but nothing. So the Democrat mayor took to Facebook to clarify her request to remove the nativity scene. She says, I requested the nativity scene be removed solely from public parking area. The reason for this is the separation of church and state. God, I hate when people talk about separation of church and state because they don't understand what it means. Anyway, the reason for this is separation of church and state applies to municipalities as well, regarding religious symbols on public property and parks. We are a community composed of various ethnicities and religious beliefs. Both my family are deeply rooted in our own beliefs. I don't know what this woman celebrates, Kwanzaa maybe. But I want to emphasize, I've never stated that nativity scene should be prohibited in Mullins. Okay, so the separation of church and state, let's start there, because that is not something that was ever intended to remove religion from the public sphere. It was meant to keep government out of the church. That is the separation of church and state, but nonetheless, it's cited here, and it's cited in the most mundane things that atheists find offensive, okay? You find the nativity scene offensive, it's in the public square, and they say, separation of church and state. They cite that all of the time, and they abuse it and weaponize it. Really what it's about is separating the government from the church. The government can't come in and tell you what kind of sermons to preach, okay, as a pastor. That is separation of church and state. And Senator Rick Santorum, former Senator Rick Santorum, he was a Republican, and he once wrote this about separation of church and state. Quote, the idea of strict or absolute separation of church and state is not and never was the American model. Of course it wasn't. Look at what the founders did. They opened up the Bible and then they wrote the Constitution. Okay. They had the Bible open and the Constitution, and they were writing, right? Of course, all equal under God. God is mentioned in our Constitution. That would be so silly if separation of church and state kind of applied where you keep religion out of government. No, it's keeping government out of religion, keeping the government out of your church. That is separation of church and state, and that's the model. So, defying the mayor's directive, Byrd and the committee kept the nativity scene in place. They garnered support even from the city council members. So this was like a committee. It's a small town committee, and they even got some of the city council members who are higher than the members of the committee to say, yes, we support the nativity scene. And Byrd did say that if the mayor feels compelled to keep the fight going, they're just going to wind up scrapping the whole display. I hope that's not the case. I hope she digs her heels in and fights this fight and fights the mayor, this woman who's the head of the committee, the decorating committee. Okay. So here's what Byrd said. She's quoted Fox News Digital. How are we supposed to explain to our kids that we have to hide our religion, hide our beliefs, and hide what Christmas is about? Christmas is not about Santa Claus. It's about the birth of Jesus Christ. You cannot have Christmas without Christ. And I want to bring you this Supreme Court ruling. The Supreme Court ruling is actually called Lynch and Donnelly, and I don't really verse Donnelly. And it was a 5-4 majority rule, okay, in 1984. And it cites that to display nativity scenes on public property, it has to be part of a broader holiday display, which this is. There's snowmen, Santa Claus. It's part of a broader holiday display. I don't like that ruling. Like if I want to put a nativity scene up that is gigantic, like 25-foot tall nativity scene, right? If I want to do that without having Santa Claus in anywhere in sight, I should be able to do that because separation of church and state, the original model was to keep government out of the church, not keep church out of government. I mean, really, does this make sense? I mean, there's scripture all over the White House. There's prayer. I mean, even in the state of Illinois, they open up session with prayer. Okay. I mean, this is a tradition. This is something that has always been done for every General Assembly. Even this one, as evil as it is, this General Assembly, they pray before session starts. So Pickett, this mayor, her grinchy attitude is not only an attempt to defy basic decency, but it's an attempt to defy a Supreme Court ruling and precedent. Okay, allowing nativity scenes in mixed holiday displays. Okay, so she doesn't have a leg to stand on here. And I'm pretty sure where we went, and I told you that we did this over the weekend. It was like a cool little petting zoo. I got to hold a kangaroo. Very fun. A baby kangaroo. Have you ever held a baby kangaroo? Softest little creatures in the world. So cute. But this nativity scene, I think it was a reserve, like an animal reserve, and I'm pretty sure it's like state run. I didn't look into it that much. But basically, there's this huge nativity scene, like miles long nativity scene, and scripture just lining the street up and down. These, big plaques lining the street. And then they had like a little blurb about Kwanzaa and stuff at the end. So that would make sense now that I understand this Supreme Court ruling and I looked this up. I'm like, oh, that's why they threw in the stupid like Kwanzaa thing. Like it was like one little like light up thing that said Kwanzaa. Like you have to have a mix of holiday displays in order to display, which they did here. But I don't know. That Supreme Court ruling is sort of gay in my opinion. It's like, look, if I want to do, if my town, like, because then you're infringing on the municipality's ability to represent the public. Okay. So you elect these officers. Okay. And these people, these city councilmen who are in support of this nativity scene, if they want to put Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus up there, and they think that that's going to bring in people for local shops to spend some money there in the little square, then you should be able to do that as elected representatives. And I think that the Supreme Court reached a little bit there, saying like, oh, you have to do it as part of a mixed holiday display, which they did. They were in compliance with the Supreme Court ruling in Mullins, South Carolina. But at the end of the day, like, glad baby Jesus is still up. All right, so let's get to TPUSA, AmFest. There were a lot of speakers, interesting speakers over the weekend. And can I just say, Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson, this infighting. I covered that in my Friday video. If you guys missed it, it's archived. You guys can go check it out. But I think that it's totally disgusting that you've got people there kind of doing this infighting, and really it's a theology issue. Okay, Ben Shapiro, he's Jewish, doesn't profess Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, and that's fine. I never was a big fan. I actually have one of Ben Shapiro's books in the back here, and I've read it. It's How to Destroy America, and it's a great book. But Ben Shapiro, especially in 2020, I realized, I was like, this guy's kind of a lib. He's kind of a liberal, or libertarian-esque type fella. He was all about voluntarily masking and being kind to people and voluntarily masking. And I'm like, okay, no, because masks don't work scientifically, like speaking. They just don't work against the contraction of COVID-19 and the spreading of COVID-19. Like, it's not going to prevent you from spreading or from getting COVID-19 wearing a mask. It's like, I'm not even going to wear it as like a way of being nice to people. Anyway, there's been several things that I don't agree with Ben Shapiro on, and this is why he's largely irrelevant. And I think to an extent, like, Tucker Carlson has become more irrelevant, although his podcast does well, I think better probably than Ben Shapiro. But he's becoming irrelevant as well. And here's why. It's like, they're a little older, 40, 50, 60s. And we're ushering in this new conservative movement that is America first, pro-Jesus, and Protestant, I would say more so Christian movement, which is what Charlie Kirk reflected. he died 31. And this is what Charlie Kirk's movement was all about. Like, have babies, get married, outbreed really these Muslims who are breeding, having way more babies than Protestant Christians or Christians. And the problem with Tucker Carlson and some of these people on the right, I don't think Tucker Carlson is this far, but they're starting to be pro-Islam, and they don't see Islam as a global threat. No, it is still a global threat. Look what just happened. And I think Donald Trump issued, I didn't look into it that much, but some sort of military action over in Syria, because we had 2 military service members come home dead, caskets, and an interpreter came home dead because of an ISIS attack. Look what just happened, where all these Jews were killed in Australia. Okay, so Islam is a global threat. But however, we shouldn't be dismissing the nefarious corruption that is going on in the Israeli government and has gone on in the Israeli government for a long time. Okay, and we're kind of ushering this, America first, Zionist, conservative movement, that Israel has the right to exist and that it should exist as a Jewish state. But we should also be calling out corrupt government if we're true Zionists, because we want to see the state of Israel succeed, and we want to see the people there, maintain their land. And, if Bibi Netanyahu had some sort of intelligence that led to or ignored intelligence that ultimately led to 1,200 people dying on October 7th, then we ought to call that out, because the Jewish people, shouldn't be dying in large numbers like that. We already had the Holocaust, and there's a reason for that. It's because they were chosen in the Old Covenant to have that land, and these Arab nations, the 300 million odd Arabs that surround Israel, don't like that Old Covenant. But anyway, I'm kind of going off on a tangent. Irrelevant. Tucker Carlson's really position where Islam is not a global threat, or as much as a global threat as, Jews. I think that we have a threat from the Israeli government and their influence in American politics. That is a threat, a national threat, and we should address that. Have APAC register as a foreign entity, which was what JFK was seeking to do shortly before he died. And then to completely dismiss the global threat of Islam, which I don't think Tucker Carlson outright does. There are people on the right who do that, and it's just silly. That is not something that is a part of this Gen Z movement. Okay, I'll tell you what is the Gen Z movement. Charlie Kirk, his beliefs. Okay, that is the Gen Z movement. And it was kind of annoying to see Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson go up there and talk about their ideologies and their ideas. And I'm just like, they're not really, they don't really reflect what Charlie Kirk was all about. Now, Charlie Kirk invited Tucker Carlson, and we have to make note of this. He invited Tucker Carlson, not Ben Shapiro, but he invited Tucker Carlson because he believes, of course, in free speech. And maybe Charlie didn't, and he expressed this, have similar views or the same exact views as Tucker Carlson on issues surrounding the Middle East. But he still wanted Tucker to come speak. Notably, Ben Shapiro was not on the list. So it was just annoying to me to see this infighting going on. And I was thinking that AmFest was going to, and I've gone to AmFest before, but this year I thought it was going to turn into, a tribute to Charlie. And hey, in memory of Charlie. And I think that calls for disavowment or calls for censorship, really, from Ben Shapiro against Tucker Carlson because he had Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes on his show and hosted them. Which Tucker Carlson, he didn't disavow Nick Fuentes, but he wasn't really nice to Nick Fuentes after that interview. Listen to Nick Fuentes' podcast. He hates Tucker Carlson because he thinks that he was treated poorly after the interview publicly. So anyway, I mean, the disavowment, and like I could not imagine Charlie Kirk calling for the disavowment of hosts and their guests and censorship, and it's very anti-free speech what Ben Shapiro was doing. I couldn't imagine it. And really, it was all infighting between these, 40, 50, 60-year-old. I don't know how old they are, but they're older. And their ideologies did not match Charlie Kirk's or this growing movement of Gen Z. Both of them. So anyway, very interesting speakers at TPUSA. I went on a tangent, but I wanted to get to rapper Nicki Minaj. I would not have guessed this. Okay, so Nicki Minaj, she became very involved with the Trump administration after she joined up with the administration to try to stop the killing of Christians in Nigeria. So Erica Kirk spoke with her at AmFest, and it was clear that she is a strong supporter. Nicki Minaj is a strong supporter of the Trump administration. And she talked about how Donald Trump is from Queens, like she is, Nicki Minaj, and that they have something in common. And then she had some really good insight here. And I'm going to quote her, and then we're going to play some clips from AmFest. But she says, what it's shown me personally, sometimes even in the worst feeling times of your life, so the worst times of your life, you think you're never going to come back from it. But this president and our president shows that you can come back from it. And he's been through every single thing a person could go through publicly. And he's been constantly lied about. People lie about him. And it's not really that funny until you're in that person's shoes and you're being lied on. You'll never understand what that feels like. Yeah, reputation is huge. And, if you were to read the Bible, actually, there's uh, a huge thing about reputation. And I think that we dismiss this. Like we're totally fine with going after people's reputations and not having the evidence to back it up or the receipts. And in the 1800s, you die for that sort of thing. They'd challenge you to a duel. Like your reputation is a huge thing. And we dismiss that in our modern culture today. But anyway, Nicki Minaj goes on. That person is a human being. They have a family that reads those lies if people lie on you. And that's just not fair. And then she goes on, but this administration is full of people with heart and soul, and they make me so proud of them. Take a listen to what Nicki Minaj said while at AmFest with Erica.
Some fun words for Governor Newsom. I have to read these tweets because they're amazing and they are so funny. Okay, first one, we'll do this one. Unless you want to read it in your own voice. I think it'd be really great. Okay.
Oh, Gabby Poo, it only gets worse from here for you, buddy. It's the end of the road for you, my love. Get on the nearest jet ski and let that beautiful hair blow in the wind. It'll make you happier than this race that you will not win. Enjoy life. Peace.
Okay. One more.
Why not? Imagine being the guy running on wanting to see trans kids. Haha, not even a trans adult would run on that. Normal adults wake up and think they want to see healthy, safe, happy kids. Not Gav. The Gav nots. Gav not in. Gav out. Send in the next guy. I'm bored.
So I'm just going to let you riff. Like, I want you to say whatever you want to say to Mr. Newsom.
Dear Newscum, we don't have a problem cleaning up the scum if we have to. Please tread lightly. That's what I would say to Gabby Poo.
Gabby Poo. I just like Nicki Minaj. That's super bass. Yeah, I love that. Light and Lamb, 777, appreciated. That is a great comment. That's super bass. Yeah, she is pretty super bass now. And this was not on my bingo card. It was not on my bingo card in 2025. I'm like shocked by this. And like she went in and she, ripped on California Governor Gavin Newsom. She shared her displeasure with him. She took it a few steps further than what I thought. I guess she's like super based now, but I really like how she's showing courage here. Okay. It's very brave for her to be saying all of this, given, what kind of industry she's in. And it's not going to go over very well with the people she's in business with, the music business. It's probably not going to go over well with some of her fans, if not all of her fans. But she's not afraid to say what she believes. And, she skewered really Gavin Newsom. She brought up some tweets. Erica had her read her own tweets, called Gavin Newsom Gabby Poo. She didn't hold back at AmFest. She called him new scum. And I really like what she has to say here. And I'm going to play the whole clip here in a second. But she said that we're in a world that doesn't want people to think. And I say this all the time. And, I think the easiest way to think about this is like, you remember the losers in high school? They grew up and then they got into the public sector. If they're not in the public sector, they're getting their like 7th master degree in college. And they don't want people to think for themselves. They want experts to tell you. They want authority to tell you how to think, what to think. You can't think for yourself because you got your GED and you're a hairdresser now, or you got your went to tech school and you're a plumber. Like God forbid you think and have a thought for yourself because you're not smart enough. Okay. And I think that's what she's trying to say here in this clip. She says, they can stay mad, those people. You know, we're in a world where people don't want you to think, but we do think. And they want to attack you. Go ahead, let them attack you. You can stay mad. You can be angry with yourself. And I think that this is a great assessment by Nicki Minaj. And I know what she's talking about here. It's this divide of people who think they're just arrogant, and they think they're better than you because they have their Ivy League education, or they got 6 master degrees, or they're in public office, or they're working for the government, and they think that they're better than you. And Nicki Minaj, she's not working for the government. She provides a product that people like. She's considered the greatest female rapper of at least my time, and if not all time. She's huge, 26 million, I think, followers on X. I'm gonna play the clip. Take a listen. Here we go.
Building, right?
Yeah, we're the cool kids.
Okay.
The other people, they're the ones who are still just disgruntled, but really they're just disgruntled with themselves. They are angry with themselves, you guys. So you can't wake up and think about somebody who is determined to just stay mad. I literally tell them, stay mad.
Amen.
Stay mad. Because we're going to stay joyful,
Yep.
and peaceful and iconic and smart.
Yes.
And we're going to stay thinkers. In a world that doesn't want us to think, we will think. By ourselves, on our own, we will continue to think.
I love it. I love it. And, I describe it as public sector versus private sector because I think people can really understand that. But it's not just people who work in the public sector. It's people who, go and they get these master degrees and stay in college for the rest of their lives. And they're just really disgruntled with their life because they've never created anything with their hands, created a service that people want. Minaj, she says that she's not afraid to speak out, and she's never going to be afraid again. Take a listen here.
Why now have you been involved with speaking about politics? What was kind of the turning point for you? Yeah.
What was the turning point? Well, I just got tired of being pushed around. Yeah. Sometimes you just get tired of it, and then you realize, wait a minute, I have something inside of me that's stronger than what's out there. That's right. So when you've had enough, you realize, wait a minute, why do I even care about these people and what they think? Who are they? They don't even know who they are. So I'm not going to back down anymore. I'm not going to back down ever again.
Amen.
Okay. So, Nicki Minaj, I don't know what her religious upbringing was. I have no idea, but I think that this comment hits the nail on the head. So looks like the trans agenda pushed Nicki to the right. Things changed when she became a mom. I don't know when she became a mom, but train a child up in the way that she or he should go, and they'll never depart from it. So Nicki Minaj, she might have, drifted towards the left for years and has been on the left for years, but she's starting to wake up. I don't know what her upbringing was like. I think that she has talked about her Christian upbringing, but she went back to it. And I think that the trans thing definitely had something to do with it. You can hear her say they don't even know who they are. And, when you have a child, like Nicki Minaj, if she recently had a child, I don't know. I'm not particularly fond of rap music. So I don't follow Nicki Minaj. I can appreciate titans of industry. I tell you guys that all the time. She is a titan in her industry, a huge female rapper, if not the largest female rapper in my time or all of history. But she created a child. Okay. And like I said, there's this huge divide between people who create things and have purpose and live out God's purposes for their life. And then there's people who live out their lives for themselves. And that's really as simple as it gets. They think that you're stupid, they're arrogant. They think that you can't think for yourself because you don't have this whole, list of degrees from an Ivy League school. And that's where the divide is. And she just explained it simply, beautifully. She has 26 million followers on X. This is huge for the conservative movement that we have somebody like Nicki Minaj speaking out. She is considered, a high-ranking female rapper, if not like the biggest female rapper of my time or in all of history. She's a huge influence. So, and it's brave because I bet that a lot of her fans don't like what she's talking about right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, liberty lovers, freedom fighting felines out there, this is the Conservative Cat Show. Oh no, you had a comment deleted. I didn't delete any comments. I never delete any of your comments. I know I had somebody tell me like, you have Jew haters in your comments, like you should be monitoring them. Look, I take so much time and I prep a show. I don't have time to monitor comments. Okay. And delete them. And to be frank with you, I am all about free speech. Now, I don't like cussing. I really ask that you guys keep cussing to a minimum in the comment section. Just because, kids, they get on that. And I always, in my videos, if I have, cussing clips, I say, warning, warning, kids, if you're listening, tune out. But yeah, no, I didn't delete any comments. Have a blessed day, kiddo. Appreciate you being here, Henry. I liked this one comment from New Jersey. I remember in Livingston, New Jersey, we had a huge nativity scene with real animals a long time ago. Unfortunately, it's no longer there. Yeah, I've noticed, like just being down south and up north, I don't know if this has anything to do with anything, but right here in the Bible Belt, nativity scene after nativity scene, like you go to the Dollar General and like there's a nativity scene outside the front doors, and I'm like, oh, like this is fantastic. And everybody talks about Jesus. If I wear, like, I'll never forget this. I was in Walmart and I was wearing like Jesus is King t-shirt. Somebody came up and ran up to me, hugged me, and he said, Jesus is coming back. He's coming back, right? And I said, oh yeah, I know. And like having that is so cool. And my suggestion, if you missed the nativity scene, maybe contact the municipality, the public officials, and say, hey, I remember we did this nativity scene with real animals. Who was in charge of that? Who can I talk to get that nativity scene back? Because I think that it's so important that we keep Christ in Christmas. And do whatever we can. I've stopped saying Merry Christmas. I literally say, I hope that the birth of our Lord and Savior brings you peace and help enjoy this Christmas season. I stopped saying Merry Christmas and I just started saying, oh, I hope the birth of our Savior, Lord Jesus Christ, brings you peace. And I just go all out with it because we have to keep Christ in Christmas. I do want to get to this story today. This story should be really boring. It should have been procedural. It should have been a dry story where Illinois just hands over their voter data because why? It's the law and it's procedure. Okay. But we live in Illinois, modern Illinois, where transparency is treated like a biohazard and election integrity is considered extremism. And now Illinois is having a full-blown meltdown because the federal government has requested the voter rolls. And really, this is just federal law. It should be routine. The U.S. Department of Justice has sued the state of Illinois because Illinois refuses to hand over their unredacted voter registration data that the DOJ is legally entitled to under federal law. So I think it's hilarious. Suddenly, the same people who think that government should control your health care, you should pay for people's abortion doulas. An abortion doula, it's an oxymoron. It's a woman who, or a healthcare provider who sits with you while you have a chemical abortion, or where they, sit with you while they break the limbs of the baby and pull them out with forceps. Okay, so they think that they can control your health care and make you pay for people's health care, not just health care. This isn't health care, but make you pay for people's abortion doulas or obscure surgeries like transgender or transitioning surgeries. Okay, they think that they can control your energy. For example, in the state of Illinois, like I said, if it goes like anywhere below 40 degrees or above 80 something degrees, and I'm throwing this out there, those temperatures, but you can't shut off somebody's electric or utilities. This is what Governor J.B. Pritzker did. Well, guess what? Somebody has to pay for that. Okay. If they're not paying, okay, say you have somebody who's not paying their energy bill. Okay. And it dips below 40 degrees, like all winter long, it's been below 20. Okay. So all winter long, you have to keep their energy on, even though they're not paying their energy bill. So who pays for that? It's the people who actually pay their energy bills, and they pay for other people to have their energy on, even though they're not paying, through surcharges and fees. So if you get your ComEd bill in the mail or Ameren or whatever, look at all the surcharges and fees. Those surcharges are going to go towards other people's energy who aren't paying. And this is a government who controls your speech. Illinois controls your speech, controls your kids' schools, controls your guns. You can't even have magazines over, what is that, 15 rounds. Maybe I'm lying about that. 10 rounds, maybe 10 rounds for handguns. I think it's 15 for rifles. They control your guns. They control your energy. They control your health care. And all of a sudden, they act like they're so concerned about the federal government seeing your voting record or your voter records. So like your social security number and your birthday. And newsflash, the government is, the federal government is the very body that creates those social security numbers. They know your date of birth. Like, I don't know. It's funny how that works. So let's get to the facts here. Last week, the Department of Justice filed a suit in federal court in Springfield demanding that Illinois hand over a complete unredacted voter registration database, their voter registration database. Now, this database includes things like driver's licenses. When you register to vote, you plug in your date of birth, your driver's license, your social security number, your address. Okay. And before the pearl clutchers, pass out, this data is already held by the federal, by the state. Okay. The state has it, and the federal government generates social security numbers. So I don't know what the hell they're all upset about. This isn't new, by the way. Okay. The federal government is entitled to that data because of something called the National Voter Registration Act. I'll get to that here in just a second, but this isn't invented. This isn't new. This isn't unprecedented. The DOJ asking, the federal government asking for that voter registration data. This shouldn't be controversial unless you have something to hide. Illinois is now the 19th state to be sued by the Department of Justice. And really what the DOJ is trying to do is enforce two longstanding federal laws, the National Voter Registration Act and HAVA, which is Help America Vote Act, the Help America Vote Act. Both these laws, the Help America Vote Act, let me see when this was passed. I think it was like 2002. Yeah, 2002. Okay, so about the same age as me, 20 years. Okay. The National Voter Registration Act, even longer. Okay. So under these laws, it requires states to maintain accurate voter rolls. And who is the judge of that? Who is the check on the states to make sure that they are maintaining voter rolls. That is the federal government. So this isn't optional, okay? And it doesn't say in the federal law, okay, only if the Democrats feel comfortable can they fork over their voter rolls. Okay, that's not what the law says. Okay, federal law says you got to fork over your voter rolls because we have to make sure that you're maintaining them. Now, cue the voice of reason, Carol Davis. She's the chairman of Illinois Conservative Union, and she's an election integrity advocate. She had something very radical to say, but something refreshing. She's quoted in the Center Square. She says, "I applaud Harmeet Dillon." She's the Assistant Attorney General of the DOJ, their Civil Rights Division. And she applauds Harmeet Dillon for doing something rare in government, which is enforcing the law. Okay, Carol Davis says it very plainly that this isn't politics. This is simply complying with longstanding federal law. And this isn't some sort of sinister power grab from the federal government, okay? Like, they're not trying to steal they just want the voter registration data that they're entitled to. And here's what Carol Davis says, quote, in the Center Square, hand-wringing and pearl-clutching over what seems a simple and straightforward request. Like, there is just hand-wringing and pearl-clutching. Translation, if you're freaking out, it's because you've got something to hide. Okay, like, this is a straightforward request. What's so wrong about handing over the social security numbers of people on this voter registration data list to the people who generated those same social security numbers? Like, and this is coming from the same government who, like I said, tries to control your guns, controls your kids' schools, controls your health care. And they say, oh, it's sensitive data. That is the dumbest argument, okay? Illinois officials and their media allies, if you watch the media coverage on this in Illinois, it's so fascinating because their media is like, they're asking for unredacted data. They're exposing personal information. Carol Davis says this is ridiculous considering that the federal government is the entity who assigns those social security numbers. Boom, roasted. Okay, so let me say it slower for Springfield. The federal government already owns the data that you're pretending to protect. Okay, and they're refusing to show. It's kind of like refusing to show your driver's license to a police officer because it has your name on it. Because that police officer doesn't know your name. Well, they've already got your license plate. They can run your plates, find your registration, find your name that way. Like, okay, this excuse doesn't pass the smell test for me. Okay. Really what I think is going on here is fear. They are scared of accountability. They are scared of audits. They are scared of what is going to happen when the sunlight hits this bloated, outdated voter roll. And, election integrity is about legitimacy. Okay. And if voters can't trust a system, the system collapses. So Section 8 of the National Voter Registration Act explicitly requires states to remove deceased voters, remove voters who have moved from the state, which we know Illinois has had a mass exodus of people. I'm positive that there are probably voters on that. I'm somewhat positive. Obviously, I haven't seen the voter rolls. Nobody has. The DOJ is trying to get them. But I'm sure voters have moved away from Illinois and they're still on the rolls. Like, you're supposed to maintain those rolls. Get the people who have died off. Get the people who have moved off. Prevent duplicate registrations. Make sure that, illegal immigrants are on your voter rolls because they can obtain driver's licenses. And we have something called an automatic voter registration. When you get a driver's license or renew your driver's license, you're automatically registered to vote. But you have to make sure that person is a citizen. Okay. And you have to conduct regular systemic maintenance. Okay. So this is all in Section 8 of the National Voter Registration Act. And this law passed with bipartisan support. So you see what Illinois is doing here. This is bad. their refusal of this, because what we have here as a law that Democrats voted on, Republicans voted on, the president signed it, and they are being anti-democracy by not enforcing this law. Congress passes laws, and you are to abide by those laws. And when you don't, the whole system collapses. Okay, it's not a new law. It's an ignored law. And Carol Davis, she nailed it when she said that election integrity watchdogs, all of them volunteers, working very hard. They have been begging officials for years to just follow this law. Like, just follow the law, enforce it. And the DOJ is finally doing that. They're finally saying, okay, let's maintain our voter rolls. Let's make sure the states are doing this as directed by Section 8 of the National Voter Registration Act. And then Illinois is all of a sudden pretending like they're under attack. So in the article, you can see that the Illinois State Board of Elections said nothing. They declined to comment, because it's pending litigation. Please don't ask us questions because we don't want to answer them. I mean, this is a state. Like, the State Board of Elections should be representative of the people. We, the people. It is a government agency that is supposed to be there, that is there, and it is supposed to serve the people. Okay, this is a state that constantly lectures us about democracy, the democratic process, but they are stonewalling basic transparency, and they are not following the democratic order of things, where Congress passes a law and you follow the law. Okay, this was Congress, bipartisan Congress passing a law. Why aren't you following it? Okay, that's not democracy. That's anarchy. And you're constantly lecturing us, State Board of Elections and state of Illinois, about democracy. Well, practice what you preach. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. Luke 16:10 says, quote, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. So if this government doesn't want to maintain their voter rolls, or is acting shady or weird by claiming things like, oh, we don't want to share private sensitive data with the federal government, although the federal government creates that data, Social Security numbers, they have it already. We don't want to give that to you. We don't want to ensure that our voter rolls are maintained and they are trustworthy. How are we to trust our county clerks with things like mail-in voting? Okay, how are we supposed to trust election outcomes? Ballot harvesting. How are we supposed to trust all of these things when they can't even do the basic thing, which is maintaining the voter rolls? Sorry, we need to get rid of mail-in voting. We need to get rid of ballot harvesting, because you guys can't even do the basics, which is comply with federal law, give this voter data over to the federal government, make sure that it's maintained, to have the federal government. Hell, I bet that the federal government would clean it up for you. Okay. If you asked nicely. You don't even have to do it yourself, likely. So they'd probably clean it up for you if you'd say, hey, we're behind, or we've got some dead people here. We've got some people who've moved away. We've got some illegal immigrants. Help us out, federal government. I bet they'd do it. So if they won't even do the basics, which is comply with federal law, keep a clean voter roll, how the hell are we supposed to trust our county clerks? And we can't. Our county clerks have screwed this up. I remember McLean County Clerk, excuse me, not the McLean County Clerk, the third party, they sent out mail-in voting ballots, or mail-in voting ballots, and the return envelope had it go into like Monroe County or something. So it wasn't even going to come back to McLean County. They screw this stuff up all the time. In Cook County, there was no bubble on the mail-in ballot for the Libertarian candidate running for a lower level position. But they didn't have the bubble, so you couldn't even elect the guy that was on the ballot because there was no bubble next to his name. Okay, so They screw up all of these other little things, and I'll tell you why. Because they can't even get the damn basics done, which is cleaning the voter rolls. And look, God is a God of order. He's not a God of chaos. Clean voter rolls, that's not oppressive, that's righteous. Truth doesn't fear inspection, only lies do. So why are they so hell-bent on holding this voter roll from the federal government, and they're so willing to say screw you to the federal law? Okay. And I want to be clear about something. Poll after poll shows that Americans, left, right, center, they support election transparency, voter roll maintenance. Of course, we don't want dead people on the voter rolls. Okay, that just bloats the roll and opens it up to fraud. Okay, having people who shouldn't be on the voter roll it makes it easier to steal elections and for malfeasance to happen. People are for fair enforcement of election law. So why the panic? Why the freak out from Illinois? Because this lawsuit threatens something that the political machine relies on, and that is to operate in the dark. The political machine loves to operate in the dark, and they love the opaqueness of government. They love that it's all dark and there is no transparency. They thrive in the dark. So bureaucracy hates audits. Corruption despises the sunlight. And when the DOJ finally says follow the law, Illinois screams, how dare you? Because it threatens not only, the voter rolls, they're bloated, and you'll see like how bad our rolls actually are. But it does much more than that. It creates a sentiment of spotlight and light coming into darkness, and they love the darkness and operating in the dark, and they don't like that. So here's the bottom line. The lawsuit is an extreme. Frankly, it's overdue. It doesn't suppress votes. You're going to hear that like, oh, they're trying to steal the election by making sure we're maintaining our voter rolls. This undermines democracy, what Illinois is doing by not handing over those voter rolls. It undermines the very democracy. Hey, we elected these leaders to put in place laws, election integrity laws, and they did this bipartisanly. And, it would restore confidence if you were to just hand over those voter rolls. So Carol Davis said it best. We should be thankful for the DOJ and that they're finally taking concrete steps to ensure that there are clean rolls. Look, it's a republic if we can keep it. Okay. All right. Smash that like button, share this out with your friends. Let me get to some comments here in just a little bit. I'm going to take a quick break, but smash that like button, share this out with your friends. Grab your bottle of Patriot Pump right now. That's how I keep the lights on. That's how I keep the microphone on. Patriot Pump Energy. Use promo code Conservative Cat, best promo code out there. patriotpumpenergy.com. Get your bottle of premium pre-workout today. This is our fruit punch flavor. Really great stuff. I'm going to be back. I'm going to take a quick break. You're listening to Conservative Cat. Subscribe to the channel. That is like the biggest thing that you could do if you want to support the program and have more, segments, more shows, more guests. The way to do that is by subscribing. I will take your chats here on the other side. What do you guys think about education and the way teachers are teaching nowadays in comparison to when you went to school? Throw that in the comment section. I'll be right back.
Check your blind spots. Men love to call things out. Weakness, hypocrisy, failure. We're wired to spot threats and take action. But Jesus didn't say, never judge. He said, judge not, that you be not judged. Why? Because judgment without humility is a trap. It turns you into a sniper with a log jammed in your eye. Matthew 7 hits hard. Jesus calls out a man who sees a speck in his brother's eye, but ignores the plank in his own. He's not saying, don't correct. He's saying clean your lens first. Self-examination before confrontation. It takes guts to get real with your own sin, to admit you've gone soft, to face your pride, lust, laziness, or bitterness head on. But that's what real men do. They sharpen themselves before they sharpen others. Jesus didn't just want behavior police. He wanted heart warriors. Men who get the plank out, then humbly help a brother see clearly. Men who don't just flex spiritual authority, but walk with spiritual maturity. In verse 6, it's about discernment. Don't toss holy things to pigs. Don't waste truth on ears that mock it. Know when to speak. Know when to walk away. Before you blast through your next workout, check your form. Same with life. Patriot Pump fuels clean, focused energy, but you've still got to show up. Power with purpose. Clarity with strength. That's how you train. That's how you lead.
Hey, hit that like button, share this out with your friends, subscribe to the channel. Oh, man. Let me know in the comment section what your favorite Christmas song is, or your favorite Christmas movie, your favorite Christmas tradition. Mine is "Oh Come All You Faithful." Love that. Love Mariah Carey too. All I Want for Christmas Is You, or Christmas Bay. I don't know what the song is called, but I asked my brother to play it on the piano every year. It's really like catchy tune. Let me get to some of your comments here. Yeah, it happens a lot. The comments, I don't delete your guys' comments. Just want to be clear on that. I've had my comments disappear for unknown reasons. I don't know. It's probably, somebody gets butthurt in the comment section and then they report you to YouTube and YouTube takes it down. I don't delete comments. I don't like the cussing in the comments, but I still don't even delete those. I just ask that, keep cussing to a minimum in the comment section, just because, kids. I try to, keep this somewhat friendly, kid friendly, like teenage friendly. Okay. It's like a PG-13 show. So I try to keep it as friendly as possible. Teenage friendly as possible. Appreciate y'all being here. Subscribe to the channel. Dem sue America for their illegitimate right to cheat, rob, and steal America, as usual. So Democrats are not pro-democracy. They are pro-uniparty, fraud, commie, infiltration, bureaucracy, conquer America at all costs. Yeah, I mean, the very, Illinois, the state of Illinois, what they're doing, they're saying, I don't care that Congress passed 2 laws. This is not just one law, it's 2 laws. Help America Vote Act, which passed in 2002. Not sure when the National Voter Registration Act was passed, but I will find out. I mean, this was 1993, I think it was. Insane. Yeah, 1993. Wow. These are long-standing laws. Okay. And what Illinois is saying is, screw you. I don't care that there is federal law. We're going to operate outside of it. And that is not the United States of America. That is being an open rebellion. And they do the same thing with immigration law, federal immigration law. That's open rebellion. And that's not democracy. That is not this democratic process. That we're a republic, a representative republic. So we elect people to go to Congress and craft these laws, and states have an obligation to follow federal law. And when they operate outside of it, and I'm all for states' rights, but you gotta stay within the confines here of federal law. And I'm all for states' rights, but that's not what they're doing here. They are in open defiance of the United States of America. And we need to start calling that out for what it is. It's rebellion, and it's wrong. We are the United States of America, and we send federal representation to Congress to pass laws that we should be abiding by, period, full stop. All right, so let's get to this new education bill. I asked you to throw it in the comment section. Were you taught cursive? How did you learn to read? Was it phonetically, sounding out words, or using context clues? Because we're shifting towards one side versus the other. So not phonetically, not sounding out the word, but rather, and I had some youth group kids, and I forced them to read the Bible. And, in youth group, I said, look, I'm going to have you guys popcorn read. You guys are going to read because it's good for you. And I've noticed, and I didn't know, I thought that these kids were just on the spectrum, or they had a learning disability. But I didn't realize that in public school, they're being taught totally different from what I was being taught in school. And I'm only 26. Okay. And my youth group kids, they were I don't know, 12, 13. Yeah. 6th graders, 7th graders, 8th graders, and they're struggling to read. Okay. This is bad. What Illinois has done. Okay. So this new education bill, it's called Senate Bill 1672. And you guys need to know that all the Republicans voted for this thing. I love these bills. It kicks in January 1st. And according to Springfield, it's going to help solve dyslexia. It's going to help catch dyslexia early in children. It's supposed to fix literacy problems by mandating early reading screenings for children K through 3rd grade. Okay. And it sounds compassionate. It sounds proactive. It sounds like something that we should applaud. You scratch at the surface here, and then we find out something that's far more troubling. And Illinois is doing what they do best, treating the symptom, expanding bureaucracy in treating that symptom, and they are avoiding responsibility for their failures. That symptom wouldn't happen. Dyslexia. I thought the kids were dyslexic when I was teaching them to read. And I was like, they have a learning disability or something like this. You're in 6th grade. You can't read. You're in 7th grade. You can't read. You're struggling this much. And I noticed a big difference between, I had a couple of kids who were in private school and a couple of kids who were public school. There was a big difference in reading and their ability to do that. I mean, we're talking 6, 7, they should be able to read, right? And I thought it's got to be a learning disability. No, it's not their fault at all. It's not, or they're not their fault, or it's not their fault. It's not like they're not trying. It's not like they have a disability. It is quite literally how they're taught. And let me get into it. Senate Bill 1672 requires public school districts to screen young students for literacy issues and report that data to the state. Okay, so that's what the bill does. Supporters say, oh, this is going to catch reading problems early, and then we can throw them into bureaucratic programs to address their literacy problems. But critics here, especially educators who know, what the hell they're doing, who actually teach kids to read, they're warning, hey, Illinois is possibly going to start misdiagnosing dyslexia. They're going to see these kids K through 3, and they're going to take this as dyslexia. Really what it is, it's how they're taught in the first place that is making it seem like they're dyslexic or look like they're dyslexic. So if you have a house and the foundation is cracked, okay, you don't solve that problem by installing more smoke detectors, right? And all of the Illinois Republicans, let me say this again, all of the Illinois Republicans voted for this BS. Okay, so, it makes me so mad. This one is up there with the Narcan in the libraries. Yeah, let's take little Susie out to the library, the public library. Oh, wow, there's somebody overdosing on opioids. Oh, wow, 60-year-old Betty, who works for the public library is shooting up Jamal with Narcan because he's high out of his mind on fentanyl. Yes. I don't know how a Republican reads that bill and says, yes, gosh darn it, this is going to fix the opioid crisis. This is what we should be requesting of our public librarians. Total BS. And like, yes, let's screen the kids for dyslexia, and let's not do any critical thinking and ask why the kids are having a literacy problem. Let's not, scratch beneath the surface here. So Sarah Fletcher, head of the School of White Horse Academy. So this is a really cool private school in Bloomington. Tuition's pretty low. It's almost like, if I had to describe it, like pod schooling, and I'm sorry, Sarah, if you're watching this, I'm not describing it correctly. Just go read the website, okay? But the way I kind of look at this, I'm like, oh, it's kind of like pod schooling. It's not super huge, but it's White Horse Academy, and she works with kids. And what's best for kids, and is an actual educator, education expert, if you will. And she points out, hey, the major culprit actually behind these dyslexia labels, and we're seeing more and more of these kids being labeled dyslexic. Actually, it's this thing, it's called whole language learning. And you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, what is that, Kat? Well, whole language learning, what it does, it tells kids to guess the word based on the pictures and based on the context clues. Okay, and to a degree, like we all use, whole language learning, but really, whole language learning, when you're reading a sentence, the context clues, if you don't know a word, like you can sound out that word, but you might not know the definition of that word, and then you use the context clues to define that word. That's not what we're talking about here. They're actually telling children, okay, if, for example, in my youth group kids, I was having them read the Bible, and there was the word maybe like apple, okay, and they would see APP, okay, and then all of a sudden they say the word appreciate. And I'm like, that does not fit in that sentence at all. Were you just lazy? Were you just trying to guess the word? Or like apple appreciate. And that's what led me to believe that these kids are dyslexic. And I was like, that's bizarre. They're supposed to, through whole language learning, memorize patterns, recognize word shapes, and use context clues. So instead of using old-fashioned phonics, how you and I were taught to read, and I don't know if I was one of the last ones to grow up with phonics in public schooling, but it seems like, I would say, kids like 15 and under. So maybe the shift happened, 15-year-olds today and under. Like, I've noticed that they just read differently and at a slower pace. And I think it's because, like, there was a shift that happened at some point in Illinois where teachers moved away from this radical old-fashioned thing called phonics. Okay, so Sarah Fletcher, she puts it bluntly, she said kids are taught to guess, not to read. Okay, and folks, guessing is not reading. Guessing is gambling. Okay, so whole language learning is the educational version of telling kids, don't worry about math, just feel the numbers. Okay, don't worry about the actual sounds of the letters, how those sounds come together, and the science behind that, the language science behind that. Don't worry about any of that. Just guess and feel it out. Okay, that is what whole language learning is. And of course, it's liberal ideology, feels over reals, and it's vibes over truth, emotion over structure, theory over reality. Okay, and shocking, like, holy crap, it doesn't work. Our kids can't read. So the kids see a few letters, and I've noticed this. They'll see a few letters, and then they guess the rest of the word, and then they move on. And the teachers are like, oh yeah, good job. Like, no. Okay, no. No wonder everybody thinks the kids are dyslexic, and no wonder this looks like dyslexia. It's because the kids are struggling with a system that doesn't work. Okay, it's bad instruction. So Sarah Fletcher, she drops a truth bomb here. She says, quote, there's also something that policymakers don't want to hear. Manuscript writing is making things worse. So I have 25-year-old friends. Like, I know when they stopped teaching cursive. It was the year, like, my 24 23, 22. Like these kids don't know how to do cursive. Okay, they weren't taught cursive. I was taught cursive, and then I think the following year, like they stopped teaching cursive. Like I was the last group of kids to go learn cursive. So the way she explains this is fascinating, and I had no idea because I don't study this stuff. She studies it as an educator, but schools have moved away from cursive. I think I was the cutoff age for cursive. So manuscript, you pick up your pencil constantly, and there's multiple strokes. Okay, and kids at that young of an age, they can't differentiate, or they struggle with left and right and orientation and directionality, left, right, and they reverse letters because so their D's start to look like B's or their P's look like Q's. It's because they don't have that left, right directionality like developed yet in their brain. And that's why you teach kids cursive first. That's how I was taught. I was taught cursive first, and then we were taught manuscript. And, what does that look like when you're creating your D's and they actually look like B's? That looks like dyslexia. But really, there's a corrective fix here. Just teach them cursive, and they'll start to learn their letters, because you don't pick up your pencil and you don't have to remember what side the stick for the B goes on, the right side or the left side. So Fletcher, she argues that cursive is actually easier for students. It's fluid, it's continuous, and it reinforces letter formation naturally. So instead of asking whether abandoning cursive was the right move and whether that was a mistake, the state would rather label more kids as dyslexic and get more specialists in there. So you see, it's all a racket. If they can label more kids dyslexic, then they can expand bureaucracy even more, get specialists in there and pay them exorbitant amounts to put them through these programs, which ultimately these programs are going to teach phonics and cursive and spelling. Okay. So let's just skip the whole problem, finding a solution, more time, more energy, more money, paying these specialists to come in and do it. And let's just have our teachers, I don't know, teach it in the first place. Okay. So I want to be fair here. Screening isn't bad. It's, something that we should be doing is screening our children for dyslexia at an early age. But we're at a point now where I think a lot of kids aren't dyslexic. They're just not learning correctly, and they're not being instructed, or they're getting or receiving bad instruction, and it's starting to look like dyslexia because the teachers are that crappy. Okay, so I guess it's better to know how many kids have a dyslexia, and better to know if they do have a learning disability than not to know. But they're creating the problem. Illinois is creating the problem. They're spending extra time, extra money trying to fix that problem with the specialists who come in for the dyslexic kids, when instead they should just be teaching correctly in the first place. And that could probably sum Illinois up in one sentence: create the crisis, fund the fix, and never admit error. That is Illinois. I want to talk about at Sarah Fletcher School, White Horse Academy, they use something called Orton-Gillingham. This is a phonics-based, skill-driven approach that's been around for decades. Why fix it if it ain't broke? They say oh, we got to go and shift towards these context clues, picture books, and getting the kids to guess the letter or the words. And we got to shift away from cursive and do manuscript only, and stop doing spelling tests. Why fix it if it ain't broke? I don't get it. But at their school, they do the Orton-Gillingham, and this is phonics based. And this focuses on letter sounding. What happens when you put an I and an E next to each other, phonological awareness. It focuses on multisensory learning. So in other words, this is how the human brain actually works and actually learns language scientifically. And they also use something called, as a screening, skills-based assessment, DIBELS is what they use. So instead of looking for dyslexia and screening the kids for disabilities and slapping a medical label on a child right away. Dibbles test their skills on phonics and their ability to hear sounds and then write down what those sounds are on paper, So that's something that is not happening at a state level. Their screening is not going to be dibbles. It's not going to be skills-based assessment. It's going to be like, okay, is this kid dyslexic? And how many letters did he flip around? How many words did he get wrong? Okay, he scored 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10 means dyslexic. And they slap him with the label. That lasts forever. Okay, so some districts have even eliminated spelling tests and lists. Remember when you used to get a spelling list and then you'd study the list and you'd, go to the spelling test and you'd do a spelling test. Spelling requires memorization, repetition, discipline, standards. And we know that we can't have any of that in our modern education system because discipline, modern memorization, repetition, no standards. We can't have any of that in our modern education system. Good spellers are always good readers. Okay, bottom line. And every parent knows that. Reading, writing, spelling, they are inseparable. You destroy one, the other one suffers. They destroyed cursive. Reading is suffering as a result of that. And the state wonders why the kids are struggling. It's because you guys created the problem. And they did it on purpose, right? Because they want their specialists to come in and get paid buco bucks to fix the problem that they created. So Illinois doesn't want to admit that whole language has failed, that phonics is right, and traditional methods have always worked. And parents, private schools, they're doing it correctly. So instead of reforming instruction, they expand screening, reporting, and bureaucracy. So this isn't about the kids, really. It's about control, it's about funding, and it's about creating jobs for these public sector losers and getting them paid in the school system. That's what this is all about. And it's about getting Becky a cushy job as a dyslexia specialist in the school. Why? Because Becky worked on Governor J.B. Pritzker's campaign and, was a big help in getting the Democrat vote out. Like this is what goes on. Scripture tells us, Proverbs 22:6, train up the child in the way he should go. Train, teach, instruct. It doesn't say screen kids, label kids, outsource the responsibility to the state. You need to train up the child in the way he should go, which is why I say pull them out. Pull them out of public school because they're just data points to these people. Okay. The data points to justify their spending. Okay. And they're filling people in these jobs. That is what the kids are to these people. And they aren't souls made in the image of God. And government education forgets that these kids are people and they're souls and they're important and they should be trained up in a way that they should go, as Proverbs 22 tells us. And the kids pay the price ultimately. So I say pull them out. That's my takeaway from this. Early screening isn't evil. They're not doing the screening correctly. It's not like Dibbles where they're actually doing a skills-based assessment. They're just, counting up the score and then they're saying, okay, you are dyslexic if you score less than 10. And I'm making up these numbers, but if Illinois wants to fix literacy, okay, we need to abandon these failed ideologies, abandon whole language learning. We need to restore phonics. We need to get kids learning cursive again. We need to do spelling tests, reinstate spelling, respect cursive handwriting, and we need to admit our mistakes as a state. And Senate Bill 1672, Republicans might say, well, this is a well-intentioned law. But really what this is, it's masking institutional failure, and shame on all the Republicans in the state house who voted for this. This is complete BS. And as always, I'm going to keep calling it out because the truth matters, families matters, and kids deserve better than their failed experiments in the education system. All right, smash that like button, share this out with your friends. We are going to take a quick break, but I will be right back with more show. I want to talk about Jeannie. I think I'm saying her name right. So you guys remember this video in Target. She's wearing a red t-shirt. It says freedom on it. It was the Charlie Kirk shirt. And she was berated by Target Karen. That's I'm just going to call her Target Karen. I forget her name. But she was berated on video. And she actually showed up at AmFest, which was really cool. But she's got some words for, people who are calling for this Target Karen's head. And, I'm finding myself really liking this Jeannie woman. That she's like a little grandma. I'll be right back with that. Smash that like button. Share this out with your friends. Hold tight. Welcome to Conservative Cat Clips, where the claws come out and the truth lands hard. I'm your host, Cat. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on something that ought to make every Illinois taxpayer's blood boil. You're funding the abortion industry, and the abortion industry is very, very funded by the state of Illinois. So we're going to be zooming in on Illinois. What used to be the land of Lincoln is now the Midwest's abortion sanctuary. Under Governor J.B. Pritzker, Illinois has gone full throttle into becoming what he proudly calls the beacon for reproductive rights. Translation, come one, come all. Have your abortions here, and the taxpayers are going to pick up the tab. In 2019, Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the so-called Reproductive Health Act, making abortion, quote, a fundamental right in Illinois. But that wasn't all. He also repealed the Parental Notification Act for minors getting abortions. So that means little Susie, if she's 12 years old, she doesn't need her parents' permission to go get an abortion. Your 13-year-old daughter can get an abortion in Illinois, even without you knowing. And while Illinois families are struggling with inflation, property taxes, and rising crime, guess where your tax dollars are going? The last few years, just tens of millions of dollars of Illinois taxpayer dollars have gone to Planned Parenthood in just a few years, tens of millions of dollars. And they're not going to just fund the procedure itself. They're paying for out-of-state women to come here and abort their babies. It includes transportation, lodging costs, and logistical support, whatever the hell that means. I'm probably paying for some woman to get a McDonald's sandwich while she's here in the state. And literally, we're running a state-sponsored abortion tourism business. That's what we're doing here in the state. And let's not forget Planned Parenthood CEO salaries. Over $670,000 for Alexis McGill Johnson. Regional directors, they make about like six figures too. So your paycheck is shrinking, their paycheck is growing, and your roads have potholes, but Planned Parenthood thriving. Pritzker loves to pose as a champion for women, but let's be honest, this isn't even about ideology. It's about power and money. He's not protecting women. He's protecting Planned Parenthood's bottom line and all of these people raking in that CEO cash. And Illinois is now the abortion capital of the Midwest because he made it that way. Governor J.B. Pritzker. Illinois used to be about opportunity and family values. Now it's the go-to state for late-term abortion. Over 46,000 abortions in Illinois were done in 2022 or 2023 alone. 46,000 in Illinois alone, and many of you paid for that. And under Governor J.B. Pritzker, that number is just going to keep going up and up and up every single year. This has been Conservative Cat Clips. I'm Cat, reminding you that taxpayer-funded abortion is not compassionate. It's corruption. And all of these people are making tons of money. And it's time we demand real leadership. It's time we step up and demand that they stop funding this madness. It's time we stand for life here in the state of Illinois. What do you think? Hey, smash that like button, share this out with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Subscribing is the best thing you can do to support the program. Always visit patriotpumpenergy.com and get your bottle of premium pre-workout today using promo code ConservativeCat. This is our fruit punch flavor. Love this stuff. This is really good stuff. It's got 150 milligrams of caffeine. We pair it with black pepper extract, so that way you don't get the crazy crash that overly caffeinated drinks come with. So get yours today, promo code ConservativeCat. So let's talk about this fun little story. Janine. So Janine is a better person than I am. She is a very sweet woman. She kind of reminds me of like a little grandma who enjoys watching Hallmark movies, baking cookies with their grandkids. This is what Jeannie, and she was at AmFest. She was brought on stage by Jack Pacific, Benny Johnson. But she felt the need to address people who have been calling for the scalp of Target Karen. Okay, Target Karen, who I will call TK. Okay, so she has a video out there, and she says, hey, two wrongs don't make a right. Don't call for the scalp of this Target Karen. Now, I don't think that TK should have her life completely ruined, okay? But I'm not losing any sleep knowing that this woman came under fire at her job. Her job, came out and said, hey, we don't condone her behavior. I want to see her fired. I don't think she got fired. Maybe I'm wrong in that. I haven't looked that up, but a lot of people are coming for this woman. And I don't lose any sleep knowing that this woman is struggling, okay? And I think that and we know that Jeannie, she got like $100,000 raised for her via Give, Send, Go because she was berated. And I say, hey, you got what was coming to you, both Jeannie and this Target Karen. And I'm not losing over any sleep over her misfortune. Okay. She got what was coming to her. Okay. Consequences, actions have consequences, and she's dealing with those consequences. But I will show you the video of Jeannie saying, hey, two wrongs don't make a right. Take a listen. Here we go.
We're calling for her to be fired for this. Do you think that that's right? Would you like that to happen?
No, I don't think that's right. Like, one saying I have is, two wrongs don't make a right. She wronged me, but I don't want to wrong her, or I don't want her wrong, because it's not going to make it right. I mean, that was her opinion. But she's the one that put it on Facebook, or put it on that. So, but I really wouldn't want to see somebody lose their job over it.
Aw, she's very nice. Okay, so I want to see her lose her job over it because the actions have consequences, but Jeannie is a better person than I am. So the video in question, and full disclosure, cussing. So kids, tune out. There's cussing in this video. I'm going to share with you the video in question here. So Jeannie, she works at a Target, and she was wearing that red shirt that you saw there. And Target employees are known for wearing red shirts. And I think that they changed, because I thought it used to be like red polos, but I think now you can just wear like any red shirt. But anyway, it had the word freedom on it, and it also had the words Charlie Kirk on it, her shirt, obviously. And those are the two words that, she lost her mind over. Charlie Kirk, the TK, Target Karen. She just couldn't calm down about the fact that the shirt had the words Charlie Kirk on them, on the shirt. So much so, she whipped out her phone, Target Karen, and she started recording herself harassing Jeannie, as if Jeannie, hadn't been working an 11 to 7 shift, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. shift during the Christmas season. I was out and about doing my late Christmas shopping yesterday, and I feel really bad for retail workers. It's busy in the stores. Now, I'm assuming that Target Karen would probably get upset with me saying Christmas and not happy holiday or holiday season. I'm assuming that she would also probably be pretty triggered by that if she was this triggered by the words Charlie Kirk. Like I said, full disclosure, cussing in this video.
They let you wear that shirt here?
Yes. Why?
So,
Why are you taking my picture?
why are you wearing that shirt? You're working. It's not
It's a
Target
red
shirt.
shirt. I can wear any red shirt.
It's not a plain shirt.
It doesn't have to be
It's a Charlie Kirk shirt.
Yes. Yes, I know.
Are you fucking stupid?
No.
Why the fuck would you wear that? You're at work at Target. That's not a Target shirt. It's not a plain red shirt. You support a racist.
It's not racist.
You support a racist.
He's not a racist.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Yes, he fucking is.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to stand here and argue with you.
You're not. You should go
over
get
it.
your manager. You should not be allowed to wear that at work. Unacceptable. Unfucking acceptable.
That's your opinion.
No, the opinion is he's a fucking racist and you support him.
That's your opinion now. Have
And
a
you
nice
shouldn't.
day.
You should not be allowed to wear that.
Have
This
a
is
nice-
going to be taken above your fucking head. That's insane.
Have a
Insane.
nice day.
In fucking insane.
Have a nice day. Okay, maybe it's me, but heaven forbid, I'm in a department store, during the Christmas season. I know yesterday I was not focused when I was doing some Christmas shopping. I wasn't focused on the employees at all. Okay. And I wasn't looking at what they were wearing, to be honest with you. I wasn't paying attention to what the employees were wearing. I think that's kind of odd in of itself. But if I happened to notice that one of the employees was wearing something I didn't like or didn't agree with, the last thing I'm going to do is express my feelings to that employee about it. I mean, I'm busy, I'm shopping, I've got my own thing going on, but this Target Karen, obviously, being a super B word, she filmed herself doing just that, recording how she felt about this employee's wardrobe. I just don't, I don't even understand how you could even care or how you even noticed. Okay. So rather than, let a third party handle the content creation, she took her own phone and started recording her harassing Jeannie. And, I think I would be inclined to show a little bit of sympathy had a third party caught this. So not Target Karen recording this herself, but rather, Target Karen losing her mind and berating and harassing Jeannie. And then some bystander caught it on video. I might have a little bit of sympathy for Target Karen. But Target Karen filmed herself having a meltdown, okay, and harassing this sweet little old lady, because Target Karen obviously thought that she was going to have, and this is so toxic and feminine and feminist culture, and they think that she thought, I'm telling you, this is how all feminists think, that all of the other white feminist liberals online were going to like and share this video out, and the opposite happened. This Target Karen faced all kind of backlash, but that's how feminism kind of works. It's this toxic, we're in it together, female nastiness, where they're all in it together, and you go, girl. You go rip into that and harass that old sweet lady. Okay. But hey, it's Christmas. I'd imagine Jeannie is too busy crocheting blankets for her grandkids and having a cup of tea and baking some sweets this Christmas season to really care about Target Karen. And she's very wealthy now. The $100,000 she got I think it was over $100,000 she got via Give Send Go because she was harassed. I think that being that it's Christmas, maybe we should follow her lead. Just give the Target Karen some grace. What do you think? Smash that like button, share this out with your friends. All right. Good morning, chat. Appreciate you being here. Subscribe to the channel. I think that's going to do it for me today. We'll be back tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. This week, as far as content goes, we have something for you every single day. I'm going to be doing some Kwanzaa explanation, how it's a fake holiday. Kwanzaa is a fake holiday. Going to explain, should Christians celebrate Santa Claus or do Santa Claus in their house with their children. I'm going to do a video on that. We're going to do a video on Hanukkah. So be sure to find that content on the channel. This week, we've got all kinds of stuff for you lined up. So smash the like button, subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow morning bright and early. Bye-bye.